Now, to an election which was pitted as a contest between greater ties to Russia versus closer links with the European Union. Voters in Moldova, which shares borders with Romania and Ukraine, have gone to the polls in a parliamentary election there. The pro-European Party of Action and Solidarity won with more than 50% of the vote. The pro-Russian Patriotic Bloc came second with less than 30%. Well, these are the live pictures that we are getting from the central square in the capital, Chisinau. We've also been hearing reaction from the Polish Prime Minister, Donald Tusk, who praised Moldova's president after her pro-European party won that election. Writing on X, Mr. Tusk said it took real courage of the Moldovan nation and Maia Sandu personally to win the election. Not only did you save democracy and keep the European course, you've also stopped Russia in its attempts to take control over the whole region. Well, the victory does mean that Maia Sandu's party will be able to govern alone and pursue their goal to become members of the EU without having to rely on a coalition partner. Well, as we heard from that message there from Tusk, the president and her allies repeatedly accused Russia of trying to interfere and buy votes for pro-Moscow parties in the election. That's a claim Russia firmly denied. Well, to get more on all of that, we've been hearing from Adrian Balute, the Chief of Staff to the Moldovan President.
The final results are yet to be presented by electoral authority, but it's clear for now that PAS is set to get at least 54 out of 101 seats in the parliament. After Russian invasion of Ukraine, people really saw the support of the free world. European Union, United Kingdom, US were close to Moldova in these past 3.5 years with support, with helping Moldova go through a major economic challenges caused by the Russian aggression of Ukraine. Because we saw a dramatic inflation spike, we saw the increase in energy prices here, we saw a massive Russian hybrid warfare against Moldova. And Moldovans really felt the support of the European Union, of the free world, as I was saying, and I believe that played a crucial role.
Well, our Eastern Europe correspondent Sarah Rainsford is in Chisinau. I've been speaking to her.
Yeah, I think it's worth saying, first of all, that this result is a bit of a surprise, even for the pro-EU party, PAS. We were at the election headquarters late into the night yesterday, and every so often you could hear a cheer and some applause drifting down the stairs to where we were as the results started to come in. But I think the size of the victory, the scale of the victory, the big gap between the pro-EU party, PAS, and their nearest rival, the Patriotic Bloc, is pretty substantial. We're talking about 50% of the vote to PAS and 24% of the vote to the Patriotic Bloc, a grouping of pro-Russian politicians. And that is despite the fact that, of course, in the run-up to the vote, there was so much talk and so much evidence of Russian interfering, attempts by Russia and forces linked to Russia to affect and to warp the vote here. So it is a sizable win, and I think that is worth underlining, and also the fact that it's something of a surprise to the party itself. As for why it matters, well, Moldova is a small country. It's a very poor country, but it is in a strategically important location. The Kremlin essentially hasn't really wanted to let go of this place ever since the collapse of the Soviet Union. It has felt that it has a role to play here, that this is part of its sphere of influence, and of course it is right next to Ukraine. There is a sliver of Moldova which has Russian troops still based there. It's a breakaway part. It's called Transnistria. We were on the edge of that territory yesterday, and that is right next to Ukraine. So in theory, had there been a pro-Russian victory here in Chisinau today, if we've been waking up to a pro-Russian government, then what some of the warnings was that that sliver of territory, the separatist territory, more Russian troops could be deployed there. The idea of a more hostile force on Ukraine's border was something that Kiev in particular was very concerned about, and the EU too. So there's lots of things and lots of reasons why this is important, but certainly that security concern is one of them, given, of course, that Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine is still raging on the border here.
Yeah, and now this victory, which you say yourself, Sarah, quite surprising, means no coalition, and it means the path to joining the EU is easier, does that?
Well, it certainly means that Moldova stays on that path, and the EU has invested heavily in this outcome. You know, we talk about the malign influence of Russia and of the Kremlin. The EU has certainly been supporting Moldova and supporting its pro-EU politicians very openly. We had several EU leaders coming here just a couple of months ago, standing on a stage with Maia Sandu, the president, talking about European support, talking about Moldova's path to a different future, to a future within the EU. So those accession talks have opened. The path is there, but the worry was that Moldova was going to be knocked off that path and back towards much closer ties with Russia. I think it's interesting, you know, to underline that this kind of change of direction here in Moldova really began or became most clear and most obvious after the full-scale invasion of Ukraine by Russia. The president here and the pro-EU party made a really clear choice, a real pivot in Moldova away from Moscow. And this is, I suppose, this result is saying that, OK, the people of Moldova at this point are still on board with that. They have voted to continue on that path towards the EU, although now there's a huge amount of work to do here inside Moldova in terms of domestic policy to make that reality in the next years to come.
Around the world and across the UK, this is BBC News.